Hey everybody, this is Gaupnekaren, and welcome back to the series where I try but never succeed. If you watched the Jack and Daxter videos, you know that I think that the Ratchet and Clank series is the best out of the PS2 mascot platformers. You know, featuring Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, and Sly Cooper. But before anything happens, I just want to mention that I will not talk about the PS4 reboot. Why? Because that may get its own video in the future. Are we ready? Let's talk about Insomniac Games. These fine gentlemen are the people who are responsible for the Spyro series. I've never played those games. Maybe I'll try out the trilogy whenever that releases. Anyway, they had developed Spyro, but the series was owned by Universal Pictures, and when Insomniac moved on to the PS2, they could make another Spyro game, and the license ended up with Activision, kinda like how the Crash Bandicoot series went. When they moved on from Spyro, they decided to make another series, but this time they would own the series. This led to Ratchet and Clank, and let's start the review of the game. The game starts off with Ratchet working on the ship. The guy crushes his dreams.
Final step, attach robotic ignition system.
Depression! But on another planet, Clank is born. He has a defect and he spots an infobot, which basically gives us coordinates throughout the game. He is seen, but he runs away and gets on a ship. He flies away, but he gets shot down, crash landing in close vicinity to Ratchet on the planet Veldin. Ratchet goes to the crashed ship and finds Clank, who needs to find Captain Quark, who is a superhero. The bad guy is Drek, whose race seems to have polluted their entire planet, so he tries to build a new planet. However, this will lead to the destruction of our planet, so they need to stop them. Ratchet, however, has not finished his ship, but it turns out that Clank has the component needed for the ship to work. And they set up an alliance where Clank is the one who cares about stopping Drek, and Ratchet is just hanging on because he would be stuck otherwise. And they set out on a journey throughout the Solana galaxy. The story itself is very basic, but I don't mind it since it's a platformer. However, a few levels later, you find Captain Quark, and he invites Ratchet and Clank to do an obstacle course to see if you have what it takes. But when you reach the end, it turns out that Quark is the spokesman for the new planet, and it traps you with a creature known as the Snaggle Beast. You defeat it, but Ratchet is pissed at Clank, since he brought him here and because he dragged him into the other circle when Ratchet was suspicious. And for quite a few levels, you're stuck with asshole Ratchet. He acts like a prick to Clank, and it gets a bit degrading after a while. However, the duo arrives at the Gaupnekaren base, where they defeat Quark. But after doing that, Ratchet sees the damage done by the blood, and it sets out to even out Drek's deformed face. When the duo reaches where Clank was born, the Mower spits on an infobot which informs Ratchet that Drek is going to blow up Veldin, Ratchet's home. Ratchet gets furious and they leave for Drek's fleet in the orbit of Veldin, and they get an exact location. When they arrive there, they find out that Drek is the one who polluted their homeworld to such a poisonous extent. He gets paid quite a lot, and when this is over, he'll just keep on doing it. I don't even know how he could do it in such a short amount of time, but before we get to find out, we kill him and blow up the new planet for some reason to celebrate the fact that Ratchet is really nice to Clank. The end. Of course, it's a very simple story, but it really doesn't matter. While the second act rift in Ratchet and Clank's friendship is a bit annoying, it doesn't really matter too much by the end of the game, because their friendship is properly patched up. When you look at the story, you have 3 different acts, and the best way to distinguish the different acts is through the different ships in the game. Excluding the ship that Ratchet builds and crash lands immediately, you have 3 ships. The green one represents the first act, where the duo begins doing shit, where Clank is trying to help and Ratchet is not really too concerned. The orange one represents the second act, where the rift in their friendship happens. The purple one represents the third act, where Ratchet is a nicer guy than before. However, I don't want to drag on it for too long, so let's just begin with the gameplay. Ratchet can jump around and beat everyone's face in with his trusty wrench. Clank adds different backpacks, like the Helipack, Thruster Pack, and Hydro Pack. The Helipack and Thruster Pack are expansions to Ratchet's moveset, like gliding, long jump, and high jump. The Hydro Pack is optional, but allows you to move faster on the water, which is necessary for some of the game's secrets. These are bought at certain points in the story, which brings up the nature of this game. This game's theme is consumerism. Almost everyone is after Ratchet's wallet, and to progress, you need to pay up, whether it's infobots for new locations or gadgets for progress within levels. The contents the infobots show are mostly commercials and updates featuring Drek, which I need to remind you is a businessman, which ties heavily into the game's theme. But what exactly can you buy, and how do you buy it? Not only can you buy gadgets, but also weapons, which are a staple of the series. These weapons vary between flamethrowers, pistols, rocket launchers, etc. However, a thing which this game is excellent at is weapon balancing. In later games, especially on PS3 or the reboot, weapons available in the earlier parts of the game are usually outclassed by the later ones. In Ratchet 1, almost any weapon is useful in the later areas of the game. For example, the bomb glove is useful because of its area of effect. When you either go into challenge mode or up this wall on Gaupnekaren base, you can get gold versions of weapons by buying them with 2 different kinds of items, which gives the bomb glove a bigger area of effect. But what do you use to buy things? bolts. Bolts are the currency in this universe, and you can find them by smashing crates or killing enemies. Something that used to bother me is the limited number of bolts. In later games, inflation has struck this universe hard, but there's still more than enough bolts for different things to buy the inventory roll. In this game, there is no alternate way of acquiring bolts, and you need to save up as much as you can for everything necessary for completion. Nowadays, I don't mind as much since it makes you plan about which weapon to get. It probably makes the game easier and enjoyable after multiple playthroughs, but it really doesn't matter to me. For most of my playthroughs, I don't get all the weapons. I usually only need the bomb glove, blaster, parasaur, devastator, laser bomb, and test glove. I also usually get the weapons you find at the end of certain pathways, like the sucker cannon and the morph array. This game, because of both the weapons and the limited movement in comparison to the other games, makes the game more strategic. In this game, you go to several planets, space stations, and the space fleets. One of the planets is called Orkson, where you combat flying vehicles which fire missiles. If you spent your money wisely, you would have gone to Devastator, but you would need to go back and forth between corners in order to shoot the vehicle down before you get massively hit, since Ratchet only has 4 hit points, or nanotech as it's called, unless you buy additional ones out in Orkson. Go figure. If you don't want to constantly go back and forth, you could have used the decoy glove, for example, in order to lead the shots off you so you can make some good shots yourself. Or you could use the missile bomb in order to guide the missile around the corner. The way this game handles weapons makes it pretty open-ended in terms of how you go around shooting shit. It's also pretty open-ended in terms of level structure. This game contains several pathways. Some are necessary in order to complete the game, but quite a handful are entirely optional, containing additional weapons or perhaps gold bolts. Gold bolts are special bolts located in various areas, and some of them are hidden quite well. For example, on the G34 station level, you get to explore the outside as Clank. Later in the game, on the planet Gaupnekaren, you acquire an O2 mask, which allows Ratchet to breathe just about everywhere. If you go back to G34, you can explore the outside of the station for a gold bolt. I don't know how Ratchet is alive after going outside. If it didn't freeze over, his organs would be ripped straight out of his asshole, unless the pants keep him in. Even weirder is Quark, who can survive without the helmet. I guess his suit is sitting on tight enough to keep the air within his lungs, and his chin is a heat generator. Anyway, like the only thing I really need to harp on the gameplay is that Ratchet's acceleration is somewhat sluggish in comparison to later entries, but this isn't really something that's too noticeable. I said that the levels are quite open-ended, but what is good to have in a good structured level? Good music. This game delivers in almost every part. The composer of this and quite a few other Ratchet and Clank soundtracks is David Bajal. What he has made is one of the best video game soundtracks ever. It all ranges between groovy and atmospheric, which makes the experience so much better. It all begins at the first real level, Novalis. Like, the music is just so goddamn catchy. This is my favorite soundtrack for the Ratchet and Clank games. There are quite a handful of songs from later games that are, in my opinion, better than most of the songs in this soundtrack, but overall, it's the best. In my opinion. My favorite songs in the game are Novalis, Gaelic Bass, Hoven, Metropolis, Blackwater City, Cordu, Altanis, Calibo 3, and Belden in Peril. David Bajal, if you're watching this, which is highly unlikely, I want you to know that what you have made is in a league of its own. And if you are watching this, like, how do you pronounce your name? Like, sorry, I'm a stupid English man-child, okay? I can't spell. Insomniac Games, you did great. What you made is one of my favorite game series ever. I love this game extremely to death, and multiple playthroughs, challenged from the side, are always fun to do. I'll put things a bit into perspective. When I did the Emperor's New Groove for PS1, I never told you that the playthrough I did was the second one in recent time. When I did the second playthrough, tried to record the gameplay, I felt bored and just wanted to be done with it. Recently, I did playthroughs of Ratchet 1, 2, 3, and Tools of Destruction. The recorded gameplay was the second one in recent time, and I was never bored. I quite liked that playthrough, and I was even getting a lot of the gold bolts. 31 to be exact. It was so much fun playing through this all over again, actually. But do I recommend it to other people? Absolutely! This game has fun gameplay, amazing music, and amazing writing. Okay, just to say this, like, about the writing, I don't really mean the second act thing, because that's tiring. I mean the interactions between all the characters, because goddamn! These are some of the funniest people on the planets. The criticisms I give the game are the sluggish acceleration and probably the lack of night attack. You can get up to 8, which I did, but quite a few people who play this game usually get 5. Like, since the first one doesn't really cost too much, while the second one costs a bit too much. About the gameplay, because some people like feel like it's not really too good because it's like a strafing. I personally don't really have a problem with it because it doesn't really matter in this game because the game is structured around it. The later games are structured around strafing, but this one isn't, which makes like the the problem, as some people call it, like about a proper strafing. Nothing too bad actually. Anyways, that was so short. Okay, you can tell. Sorry, I'm gonna get coffee. Anyway, I think I've said enough. Wait, there's something else. If you plan on getting this, it doesn't really matter which version you get. The PS2 version in terms of the lack of glitches is the definitive version, but the PS3 version isn't all too bad. It has a good frame rate and a good resolution. The only bad things are the glitches, music, and the aspect ratio. The PS3 version doesn't have any game breaking as far as I've seen, but the gadget on Vendigar looks like someone's been working without uniform scaling. The music begins with a noticeable cut instead of looping around, but the aspect ratio is something else. The PS2 version was of course in a 4:3 ratio, but the PS3 version is in a 16:9 ratio. This means that things that wasn't meant to be seen is seen now, like the air meter when you got the motor and animation errors in cutscenes. Have you ever seen the Xenoblade Chronicles free roaming camera series by the AGU? Because some things are just not meant to be seen. Anyways, it's still quite playable, and it's far from as bad as Life 3 on PS3. If you don't know anything about that, watch SGB's playthrough of it. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, some might assume that I'll review Going Commando next, but I think that there's a couple of games that would be interesting to review, and those are Rayman Rush and Rayman M. Why? The fuck do I know? Fade to Black.